On my left, I have Phil Newcomb, Head of Parks and Leisure, and on my right, James Whiteman, Executive Head for Environment, and Councillor Paul Spooner, as well as my Deputy. This meeting will be recorded for live and or subsequent broadcast on the Council's website. The whole of the meeting will be recorded, except where there is confidential or exempt items, and the footage will be on the website for 6 months. If you make any representations to the meeting, you will have deemed to have consented to being recorded, and by entering the Council chamber, you are also consenting to being recorded and the possible use of these images and sound recordings for webcasting and or training purposes. If you have any queries regarding webcasting, please contact the web team. On your way out, you will be handed a press release, and if anyone would like a copy of the statement I'm about to read, then do request it and it will be given to you. So, thank you for coming along this afternoon for the press conference, The Hire of Stoke Park for the Music Festival 2014. I'll begin by making a statement and then we can move on to questions from you all. I do want to be clear, throughout this commercial process, we have been as clear and transparent and open as possible. And today I will continue with that in setting out what has been decided and why. Guildford Borough Council has a long history of supporting arts and culture in this borough. We currently commit to around 2 million supporting spread of cultural activities, including our theatres such as G Live, the Yvonne Arno, the Electric Theatre and Mill Studio. And in addition to this, we have a number of groups and supporting grants which demonstrate the importance of art, music and culture to the Council. The combined impacts of all these activities do significantly contribute to the Guildford economy, to the tune of about £211 million, which is generated annually by cultural and tourism activity. And to this, the music event on Stoke Park is another important contributor to that economic diversity in the borough. We have had a music event in Guildford, which was born locally some 21 years ago, emerging out of a community event of a few hundred people and becoming one of thousands. This has very much put Guildford on the map as a music festival destination, which is why we must now consider the other interested parties which may want to host their events in Guildford. Guildford Borough Council, I must be clear on this, has never operated a large-scale music event. It has always been a private, individual operator. Music events are a risky undertaking, and we do respect anyone who are willing to take on such a task. However, it has always been a decision of this Council, due to the risks, not to operate one ourselves. Not only do we want to minimise the financial and safety risks associated with such an event, a local authority cannot, without specialist skilled help, be able to make and operate an event to a viable nature. This is why Guildford Borough Council has always allowed an event operator to use our public parks, and we have always supported them in their endeavours. Whether they are a charity like Surrey County Show, or the Lions Night Fireworks, or in previous years, Guilfest. Up to 2012, Guilfest was run by Tony Scott and has been the main music event hosted in Stoke Park here in Guildford. And as you know, the last event of 2012, Scotty Events, did go into liquidation. The company, originally set up in 2001, was owned and managed by Tony Scott. The previous company to this, Guildford Fusion Festival, which ran Guildford from 1998 to 2001, went into liquidation in October 2001. 2012, the liquidation of Scotty Events left a debt to the Council owing of approximately £60,000. This is yet to be recovered. Last year, Live Nation stepped in to provide a successful Magic Summer Live music event as the main music event following the liquidation of the Guildfest organisers. In September 2013, just last year, we received an e-petition asking for the reinstatement of Guildfest, and the Council considered this on the 10th of October. It was clear that there is a considerable amount of public support for the event to return. However, we cannot ignore the financial background, particularly when the public assets are involved. From that meeting, we set out in public a clear set of criteria for major music event applications to be assessed against, and I'll read these out again. The criteria are satisfactory financial checks for the event of the event organiser, payment of an appropriate fee for the hire of the site, provision of an appropriate financial bond to cover any damage or reinstatement costs, the event organiser entering into a licence with the Council for hire of the land, the event organiser obtaining appropriate licences for the provision of live music, sale of alcohol, etc. an event management plan, a suitable health and safety documentation, and approval by the Safety Advisory Group, which includes representatives from the police, Surrey Fire and Rescue, the NHS, licensing and building control teams, and any other necessary documentation. 3 additional items, as you're aware, were actually added at that full council meeting to show the level of importance, particularly the community aspect. And these were added on to make sure that the Guildford residents were actually really receiving the best from an event. Sorry, my page has got a bit muddled. These were assessment to the contribution to the local economy, involvement of the local music scene, and benefits to local residents. We have always had a set of criteria in which an organisation must meet in order to hire the park. In previous years, this may not have been adhered to fully or given full scrutiny. However, since coming into the role, I have made sure that with the team, that we do adhere to these criteria. It is for this paramount reasons that for protecting the Guildford taxpayers and public assets the Council owns and maintains. In 2013, a bond was introduced due to the events of 2012 for large events to ensure that any damage to the site are rectified by the event organisers that have leased it. Now, where we currently are, as you're aware, in 2013 we received 2 submissions to host a music event on Stoke Park in 2014. In the past week, we have been notified that one of the operators would like to place their bid on hold at the current time, as they feel unable to provide the detail required until their headline acts have been confirmed. Therefore, a cross-party panel was set up and we have reviewed just one bid at this time. The organisers of Guilfest, under the new company Trowfest, have submitted a bid following the full council meeting in 2013 to host an event this year. Their bid was considered and there were a number of issues with the proposal, most notably finance and the event management plan that did not meet the criteria. As this is the case, a number of conditions have been set out in order to protect the Guildford taxpayer and the public assets. These must be met, and I will stress this, before the event will be allowed to go ahead. With the financial, as Trowfest Limited is a new company, it does not have a trading history and is not able to provide management accounts or bank statements. This, coupled with the previous financial history that I mentioned earlier, and the previous companies Guilfest was operated by, including the outstanding debts associated with it, means there are still very large concerns over the financials of this proposal. Under licensing, to date, no licensing application has yet been received by Guildford Borough Council for the proposed event in 2014, and this must include an event management plan, the suitable health and safety documentation, and approval by the Safety Advisory Group. However, considering that, the panel has recommended that the event by Trowfest could only go ahead subject to a number of criteria. Firstly, that the payment of a financial bond to cover any damage or reinstatement costs must be paid in full by April 2014. The sale of tickets is solely the responsibility of Trowfest Limited, not Guildford Borough Council. The payment of the fee for the hire of Stoke Park must be made and agreed. Payments are to be made in February, March and May 2014. The proposals and the event management plan produced by Trowfest must meet the requirements of the Safety Advisory Group and licensing conditions that are set out. It's very clear that Guilfest has a strong support base, and we do really hope that they will help the operators deliver an event for this year. However, we are really very much making it clear to everyone that we will not be allowing the event to go through if these conditions have not been met by the 1st of May 2014. We will not allow the event to happen. I've always been making it very clear in my public statements that we want a music festival here in Guildford, but this can only happen without impacting on the council taxpayer, as it is not fair that the taxpayer is to financially support private operators in running non-council events. The second statement I've always made is that we need to protect our public assets. 2012, we will admit it was a bad year. The weather was not good. 2014 isn't starting out brilliantly either. But we are extremely lucky in Guildford to have these green spaces. And the repair work, actually from 2012, the park has not recovered fully at this time. These spaces are open to everyone and not just the event, so it is the responsibility of the operators to make sure that these put back as they found it. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a one-year deal, subject to an agreement being put in place for the hire of the park, and this will be discussed and agreed, hopefully, in the following meetings taking place from this statement. Thank you. I'll turn to questions now, but if you can introduce yourself, please, before you ask your question, just because we are being webcast. So, are there any questions? Yes.
Elizabeth Ferreira from Eagle Radio. Do I need to
If you could put your microphone on, thank you.
Hello, Elizabeth Ferreira, Eagle Radio.
Yes.
Could you just, you went quite fast, so could you just go over some of those conditions again, please?
Yes. The payment of a financial bond to cover any damage or reinstatement must be paid in full by April 2014. The sale of tickets is solely the responsibility of Trowfest Limited, not Guilford Borough Council. The payment of the fee for the hire of Stoke Park must be made and agreed in agreed payments in February, March and May 2014. And the proposals of the event management plan produced by Trowfest Limited must meet the requirements of the Safety Advisory Group, and that includes the police, the fire service, NHS, etc.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I would think the opportunity of one-to-one interviews with you.
Absolutely, yes, we can do that afterwards. Well, if there are no other questions, then I'll bring this press conference.
Sorry,
yes.
Sorry, can I just clarify that as it stands now, there's only one application, and that's Guilfest?
Yes, and that is the one that the panel has recommended to go forward for this year, subject to the criteria that we've laid out. You'll have a copy of the criteria when you leave, that's not a problem. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a pleasant day. I hope the weather picks up as well. So, thank you.